into my heart. Now I'm falling fast and the world's expanding. Feels like love, even though we're kind of nervous. Together we'll be strong. I don't know for sure, all I know.
Thank you.
Didn't know what hit me when we started. I was shaking the curtain, trying to step out the lantern. Let someone to know.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Under seats in marked bins throughout the cabins. Children must be supervised by an adult at all times on this voyage.
Welcome aboard. Today we are headed out on a cruise around the San Francisco Bay. We'll voyage out under the Golden Gate Bridge, around famous Alcatraz Island, and get a unique seaside view of the beautiful city on the bay. From San Francisco to Alcatraz to the Golden Gate Bridge and beyond, we'll be covering a lot of territory today, a lot of history, and a lot of stories. San Francisco is a port city, a city with salt water in her veins. Take a good look, my friends, for this is no ordinary view. Now, the first thing I want you to do is take a deep breath of that fresh breeze. But hold on tight. The water can get choppy, even on the calmest days. So be careful if you're walking around the deck. As we pull out of the dock, look out the windows and down into the water to see some frisky sea lions. If you miss them now, we'll see some later as we return. If they're hiding today, you can always hear them. Fisherman's Wharf behind. Right now, we're passing a number of interesting sights. Look on the left or port side of the ship towards the city. Do you see a large gray battleship? That is a restored Liberty ship, the SS Jeremiah O'Brien. Next to it, tied to the pier, is a diesel submarine, the USS Pampanita. Both vessels were active in World War II. Now look on the right side, also called starboard, toward the bay. Look for a little island. There's not much more than a rock with a few buildings perched on top. That rock is the Rock, the island of Alcatraz. see is the famous Golden Gate Bridge. Look left to the port side of the ship, toward the shore. Find the three tall masts of the old sailing ship Alcatraz. The Alcatraz is a steel-hulled, square-rigged cargo ship that first sailed from Wales in 1887. She carried a crew of 26 men on coal and other goods bound for San Francisco. Since then, her journey has taken her as far as Australia, Cape Horn, and Europe many times over. Today, she is designated as a National Historic Monument. To the left of the Alcatraz is a big white ferry boat, the Black Smokestack. That's the Eureka, a paddle-wheel steam ferry boat that dates back to the 1890s. Before the Great Bay Bridges were built, the Eureka transported train cars, Model T Fords, commuting passengers, and even cattle into the city. Both ships are part of the San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park, also known as Hyde Street Pier. Hyde Street Pier is located at the end of the Hyde Street cable car line. You can visit the park year-round. From here, you can also see the large sign of the Ghirardelli Chocolate Factory. It's atop a red brick of the building rising above the ships to the left. San Francisco is famous for great food, and Ghirardelli chocolate is part of that legend. Now look farther along the shoreline. You'll see large buildings with red doors. Those are the piers of Fort Mason, one of several military locations we'll see around the bay today. John Martini is a San Francisco historian. Choppy and treacherous. In the 1850s, a number of lighthouses were built along the California coast to help guide boats into the bay. 3 of the lighthouses are still here in the bay. But even with lighthouses, buoys, and foghorns, navigating the narrow harbor entrance was no easy feat. Thick fog, shifting currents, and overly old captains resulted in shipwrecks. In 1901, the wreck of the steamer City of Rio de Janeiro was the worst local maritime disaster ever recorded. There was an American diplomat aboard. He was returning to attend President William McKinley's inaugural ball in Washington, D.C. So Captain William Ward decided to proceed through the Golden Gate in heavy fog. In the early morning hours, the Rio de Janeiro struck the rocks. The ship did not have watertight bulkheads, and it sank in a mere 10 minutes. Many of the 210 passengers and crew were below decks and couldn't discuss a place that they changed their minds. It was now the perfect place for a military prison and to bench bank robbers, killers, Men so dangerous that when the first batch arrived by train in 1934, not one was allowed to step down onto free soil. They simply loaded the train cars, one by one, onto barges. Mr. Scarface himself. Capone ruled like a king in Indian prison, but here on the Rock, he mopped floors just like anybody else. With no one to protect him, Capone was a sitting duck. The big man was roughed up, beaten, and even stabbed. But Capone had carried his real killer with him to Alcatraz. A case of untreated syphilis was eating his brain and slowly driving him insane. Afterwards, the once mighty crime czar had to be washed off with a hose. Look up ahead at the 3-story guards barracks above the landing dock. You'll also see a metal frame tower in the right corner of the dock.
The tower that you see in front of us is the dock tower. It was manned 24 hours a day. It had a large group of weapons, had a 30-06 rifle, 30 caliber rifle, tear gas gun, 38 revolver. Men were shot and killed from the tower.
One officer would sit up on the top of that tiny tower, 75 feet above the island, locked in for 8 hours at a time, watching. Just watching. No matter what kind of weather. George DiVincenzi was an Alcatraz guard in the 50s.
I was in the dock tower the day that they closed the Golden Gate Bridge. They had over 100-mile-an-hour gales, and I'm in that dock tower, and that was swinging and swaying like Sammy Kaye's music. The water in the commode was spinning around. The tower was shaking, and I says, my God, if this goes over, I'm gonna end up in a bay, locked up in this cage.
On the walls of the guards' barracks, you can still see writing from the Indian occupation of 1969 to 1971. Look for the words Indian Land and Indians Welcome. A group of 89 Native Americans claimed the island and held out here for 2 years. Historian John Martini is here to explain what happened.
They claimed Alcatraz under a treaty that said that male members of the Great Sioux Nation could homestead unused excess federal property. The first time in nearly a century when Indians of all tribes had gathered together for a common purpose.
In the end, the Indians were forced off the island. They were probably the only inhabitants of Alcatraz ever to leave unwillingly. Up the hill, you can see a partially destroyed building with open, empty windows. This was once a luxurious Spanish mission-style mansion, home to the Alcatraz warden. It burned in a fire that broke out during the Indian occupation. All that is left is this battered shell.
Maybe there is something in there.
Looking at these cliffs passing by, you can get a close-up view of why Alcatraz is called the Rock. When the army first arrived, the island was so barren that there weren't even any plants. There wasn't any dirt for them to grow in. Soil had to be imported here from Angel Island before anything bloomed on the Rock. It didn't take long for someone to try to escape from Alcatraz. Just 2 years after the prison opened, guards saw a lone man struggling over a wire fence. They took aim, and he fell to his death into the bay. There's no definite proof that any prisoner ever escaped Alcatraz alive. But that didn't keep desperate men from trying, 36 of them in all.
You cannot take away from a man the thought that he wants his freedom.
I could see out the window at nighttime, and you could see kind of over by the Berkeley coastline there, and you could see all the lights over there.
There's life. There's everything I want in my life, and it's there. It's a mile or a mile and a half away, and yet I can't get to it.
That wide open area just past the cell house is the prison exercise yard. Once a week, on Sunday, inmates were allowed out in the yard. For just 2 hours, life there could seem normal. They could sit in the sun, read, maybe play a game of softball with friends.
Occasionally, some guy would get exuberant and knock the ball over the wall. But if you knock the ball over the wall, you're out. It's not a home run, and you can't go to the other side to get it either.
Thank you for sailing with us today, and enjoy your stay in San Francisco.
From the anger, from the war, let's come together, lift your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. Let's live a better day.